Hey everybody, good afternoon. A lot of news today with the trade deadline having just been completed. It's always a hectic time period, and especially this year, it seemed like there's a lot of crazy moves around the league, especially the last couple of days. And looking forward to actually catching up on some of the ones that happened late. We were very busy, considered a lot of opportunities throughout the week. As I've said leading into this deadline, we were very mindful of the fact that a lot of our best players that were in demand are players that are not pending free agents with the Orioles, and they're players that are young and talented and we like, and that have future years with this club and project to be a part of this club when we hope to be a playoff contender. So we were very judicious and mindful of that as we approached this deadline, and ultimately we made two trades today, sending Sean Armstrong from our AAA Norfolk roster to the Rays. And then at the very last minute, trading Freddy Galvis, who was nearing a return to play from his quad strain, to a team that he's very familiar with, the Philadelphia Phillies, as they make a playoff run down the stretch here in the National League East. And in return for Freddie, we got a very nice looking minor league pitcher in Tyler Birch, put up superlative numbers. He had a big stuff jump after the shutdown, and is working with 2+ pitches and a really good hard breaking ball. And you see the strikeout numbers he's been putting up, and having been recently promoted to high A and still seeing success. I feel like it's a nice arm for the system, especially considering we only had a couple of months left with Freddy Galvis. I think it's great for him to go back to a team that's means a lot to him and be part of a playoff race. And we've seen some really encouraging play here from Ramon Urias, and we've got some other players in the minor leagues who might come up and help out in the middle infield here in the second half. So we thought it made sense in that regard. So with all that having been said, I'll take questions, and I've also got some minor league injury updates when we're ready.
All right, thanks, Mike. First question is from Rock Kubatko.
Mike, how close did you come to making a deal involving one of your bullpen arms? Because that seemed to be the area where there was the most interest.
Yeah, I'd say pretty close. I mean, there were a couple of close opportunities that either didn't get to the finish line or we decided not to pull the trigger on them. And this wasn't just today. This was over the last week or so. It's very tough sometimes to take these all the way to the finish line. There's hiccups. There's other teams involved. Some of these trades get really complicated with multiple teams. It just wasn't anything that met our threshold for shipping out any of our relief pitchers. We've got some really good relief pitchers. They're all in their first 3 years in the major leagues. Some of them are going into arbitration next year. Some of them aren't. But we like what they do for us now. We like what they do for us in the future. And, we'll take a look at things next winter, next summer, and continue to assess things. And we hope they keep getting better and they keep helping us. It was not a low bar for us to trade any of these guys.
Dan Connolly, go ahead.
Mike, would you classify any of them as close, whichever deals it might be, as they came close to happening? And also, with all the big names that were exchanging hands, do you think that kind of played into your situation in that obviously a lot of teams were kind of focused on those larger deals?
I think that I don't know that it affected us. I think that we had an unusual deadline with a lot of really high payroll, big kind of mega roster teams that were winding down their successful runs that were selling off. And so you saw a lot of huge names, really high impact players with very large salaries, either with a year or two left, getting traded. And that doesn't happen every year. And so we saw some really exciting, crazy, large trades today in particular and yesterday. Very unusual. So I think that was a lot of the busyness. We got, like I said, pretty close a couple of times in talking about some of our relief pitchers. But again, I like these guys. I think that they're going to continue to be successful and get better. We certainly haven't been afraid to make these kind of trades the last couple of years when we feel that it's worthwhile. And we had a standard, and we just didn't see the correct opportunities there. But for the Galvis trade that came together late.
Rich, go ahead.
Mike, what's the future for Trey Mancini? Was there interest in him? Were you seriously listening? And will the club now pursue an extension?
I think the future is very bright for Trey Mancini. He has been through something that I don't think any of us can imagine, and he's come out of it and looked like the special person that he is. And he's back to baseball now, and he's going to keep getting better and building off this. And I can't wait to see him do that. I can't wait to see him do that with us. And I hope he's here as long as possible. And ultimately, we're going to kind of take things as we come, like baseball teams do in the major leagues, and look at stuff and keep talking. But he's a very special part of this team. And he's going to continue to be so, and we're happy about that.
Next up is Joe Trezza.
Mike, similar question with Means. Were you guys ever seriously tempted, and also Mullins, Means and Mullins, seriously tempted this week? Were you able to gauge what their market might be?
I was pretty confident that we weren't going to get very, very serious in talks with some of those players. You saw Jose Barrios traded today by the Twins. Trades like this happen, but we're very, very impressed by what those guys are doing, and they're here for a long time, and they play positions that are not easy to find guys that do what they do. So it is not a priority for us to look at those opportunities.
Just a reminder to media to please enter your name in the chat if you have a question. Next up is Nathan Ruiz.
Mike, you've touched on this a couple times, but obviously a lot of the guys who came up did have several years of control left. Did not parting with them, did your timeline for contention, how much did that factor in to the decisions you guys were making with these guys?
I think everything's a factor. I think that a lot of the relievers that we have, like I said, that are young, that are having success, are very interesting now. They're very interesting in the second half. They're very interesting next year, but they're also interesting for the next 3 or 4 years. And we'll see where the team goes. The team's going to go up. We're going to get better every year, and I think they can continue to help us in that regard. But as a front office executive and as a major league front office, you see the Tampa Bay Rays trade their closer at this trade deadline, even though they're in the thick of things. You have to look at opportunities and players come and go. So, we will continue to do that and assess it, but it needs to be I think a worthwhile trade, because I think that we feel like these guys are talented, and we want to continue betting on them.
John Mioli, go ahead.
Mike, to follow up on that, how close do you feel like the window for this team to win is at this point, given what's going on in the minor league system, given what's happened at the major league level?
I think it's getting closer. We've seen some very good individual developments this year, particularly with Cedric, Trey coming back healthy, getting some positive steps forward from an Austin Hayes and obviously John Means, and some of our core impact talent in the minor leagues is inching closer, and we've made progress in repairing a lot of the critical kind of infrastructural areas that we were lacking in. So the organization is in much better shape, but I continue to be daunted by what I see in our division, what I see around the league. And you see, there are super teams on both sides of the league right now, American League, National League, and some very loaded rosters. So we have a very long way to go. We have a lot of work to do. It's hard for me to forecast. I just know the direction we want to continue to push in, and I know that there's talent on the way. And I think that the deficit between the Orioles and the AL East that we've seen the last few years is closing, and that's important. And we're gonna get more competitive very soon in this division. I know that.
Steve Molesky, go ahead.
Mike, you traded several bullpen guys last year, and this year none from your major league roster. Was generally speaking, is the value you placed on this group a little higher because of the years they're having and the team control remaining and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think all of those things. As I've said, we look at how many years they have left under contract. We assess the talents that we have. We look at the direction of this team the next couple of years. I think that when you look back on the trades we made the last couple of years, Michael Givens and Dylan Bundy and Blyer and Miguel Castro, a lot of these guys are either free agents at the end of this year or the end of next year, and that's a lot different animal than guys that aren't free agents 2024, 2025 or beyond. So all of that factors in. Everything's a case-by-case basis. We just try to do the best we can with working the market and making decisions, but there's no crystal ball, and it's a very, very tough thing to do, but you do the best you can to make the right call at the right time with the opportunities that are in front of you.
Dan, go ahead.
Mike, did any money exchange hands between you and the Phillies in this deal? I know there's the $250,000 bonus for Freddie. Who pays that? Yeah,
we worked it out a little bit, that's a nice benefit that Freddie negotiated in his contract, and I'm glad he's getting it.
Nathan, go ahead.
Can you tell us
who's
paying that? Is someone paying that specifically? You guys or the Phillies?
It's ordinarily, I don't think, something that we divulge, but we are paying his $250,000 trade bonus. I don't have a lot of experience divulging who's paying trade bonuses, but the Orioles are picking up the trade bonus.
Nathan, go ahead.
I just wanted to let you run through those minor league injuries you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. Some updates. Anthony Servideo, who's been out for a long time, several weeks with a groin midsection injury. Ultimately, earlier this week in Philadelphia, had a procedure to repair a sports hernia. It's a very simple, predictable procedure, but it will put him out for about an additional 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously, that butts up against the end of the regular minor league season. So we will, we'll assess opportunities with him this fall for fall ball play as they come, but it unfortunately will end his season. Also, DL Hall, who I had yet to follow up on since speaking about a few weeks ago. We were preparing to ramp up his throwing program and ultimately get him back out to an affiliate. But some further developments and some further testing revealed a stress reaction in the bone in his left elbow. So this is going to require more rest. And now with the time of we're at, I'm very pessimistic that he's going to be able to return this season. So again, that's something that we're going to have to look at when we get to the end of the fall about what we want him to do in the offseason, whether there's official competition involved in that, but it's probably going to be a situation where we're looking to rest him and platform him as best as possible for 2022. And then I want to make sure I don't miss any updates. Richie Martin, left wrist fracture is coming along well. He's rehab games in Bowie, and he will be returned to play full activation pretty much any day and will become available for play on the 40-man roster. Bruce Zimmerman is progressing well from left shoulder tendonitis. We'll be rehabbing in Aberdeen, I believe, tomorrow. And then we're looking at probably another rehab start next week, and then hopefully consideration for activation to the major leagues after that, if things go smoothly. Yusniel Diaz, who's been out with a right toe sprain or turf toe, continues to be day-to-day, but he's running and doing base running activities, so that's moving in the right direction. You've maybe seen Adam Hall's been on the disabled list. It's a quad strain, and we're hoping he's back about mid-August, but we'll see how that develops. Zach Lowther's left shoulder strain. He's reporting to Sarasota next week with Florida Complex League rehab starting in mid-August, and then getting into a progression and build-up that could possibly make him go back live on the major league roster or the 40-man roster by the end of August or thereabouts. Joey Ortiz continues to rehab from the left shoulder labral repair that he did. It's putting him out for the year. That's going well. And Terran Vavra will begin rehab. He's had a back strain and has missed a good bit of time. He's going to begin rehab games. We're hoping in the next 8 to 10 days, and then possibly get him back to Bowie or his normal assignment, in middle of August, August 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere around there is kind of our target dates for him to return to play. And he's somebody that, again, we'll take a look at opportunities this fall for fall ball to help him make up the at-bats that he lost.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions. First up is Joe Trezza.
Hey, Mike, just sticking with the minor league topic, is there anything that Adley needs to show you at AA further this summer to earn a promotion to AAA? And how are you guys kind of forecasting that for him?
I think it's become increasingly a conversation of when and what to do with him next. He's certainly had a very successful season thus far in AA on both sides of the ball. It's been great to see. He is not I don't think he would tell you that he is, but he's not a fully finished product or polished player. All these kids missed a whole year last year. His control of the strike zone has been outstanding, but he's doing a lot of work with Ryan Fuller, our hitting coach, and Jeff Kunkel, our catching coach there, and just every day getting better and perfecting things about his swing and his consistency, his mechanics, and his approach. He's also working with the pitching staff there, and they've got a really good thing going on. So we do not feel like he's wasting his time or not getting anything out of Bowie, despite the success that he's had thus far. And we're also mindful of the fact that the AAA season is going to be a long one this year. There's a lot of time left on that season. It goes into October with the way that it's currently scheduled and structured because of the pandemic. So when it becomes the correct thing for his development, we'll make that move. It's certainly something that we're talking about organizationally and something we want to get right.
Rich, go ahead.
Mike, is there anything new on Heston Kjerstad?
Not that I've reported recently. Nothing different. I think we're continuing to hope for some good news here soon, and we've got our fingers crossed for that, and we may get some soon. That's really all I can say right now. It's been, to say the least, a very trying and unfortunate circumstance for him in the organization, but we're helping him and supporting him, and we still got a lot of time left, and this still is something that we think will pass.
We have time for one last question from Jerry Coleman.
Hey, Mike, I did want to ask you about Keegan Aiken's comments yesterday. He declined to talk about whether or not he was vaccinated. And I don't know if the club has a stance one way or another, but the club has gone out of its way to encourage fans and players to get vaccinated. So when a player declines to at least endorse it, does the club have any reaction officially?
As an organization, we do encourage that people out there get this vaccine. It's helping get our society and our world back to normal. We're over 85%. We're proud of that. We've got banners all over the park encouraging our fans to do so. We know the medicine and the science behind it, and we think it's something that people should do. When it comes to individual people or specifically Orioles employees, whether they're players or scouts or ushers or whatever, I'm very protective of personal medical information, particularly with players, whether it's about a topic like this or COVID or something like what's happened to a couple of our guys the last couple of years with some really serious illnesses. I'm just very reserved about discussing that because it's a private matter. So that said, we do encourage people to be educated and make the decision that they want to make.
All right, that is all the questions we have. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike.
Thank you, guys.